We start our show, I just wanted to say to everyone who subscribed a few days ago, thank you very much for joining the family. And for those who just come across this channel for the first time, I'm asking to subscribe and make sure that you ring the bell, because every time I drop a video, you'll be notified immediately. So welcome to Rumbi Uncensored. It's a beautiful afternoon. I'm super excited. Today we're looking at how MNANGAGWA consolidated power. You can see where he is today from the coup. He moved 2018. He claimed the victory. And now, again, he grabbed this election and he's the president of Zimbabwe. We want to walk through that journey together. And please, just join in the conversation. We're going to have a time here. Very important. I am so excited. Please don't forget to like the live as we move along, and also make sure that you share with your parties so that at least everyone can come through while we really learn how MNANGAGWA consolidated power. Oh man, but before I proceed, I would like you guys to take a listen to this video where Eddie Cross gave a bit of a resume of MNANGAGWA, because it's very important, for us to actually understand who is really MNANGAGWA. We may know him, but let's dig deeper. It's one thing to know me, it's another thing when you really study me. So today we're going to be studying, we're looking at the article that were written by TheNewsHawks and get to understand who MNANGAGWA is. But take a listen to who Eddie Cross said he is. Go ahead.
It's a really strange story. When they mounted the coup against Robert Mugabe in 2017, I was still a member of parliament in those days. I'd been part of the process to remove him from power. And I was having lunch with friends in Bulawayo. And I got a phone call from Kwekwe. A young voice said to me, "Mr. Cross, the president would like to see you." And it was MNANGAGWA. I said, "Well, I'm in Bulawayo." He said, "Well, he wants to see you this afternoon."
You were still a member of parliament.
Still a member of parliament for MDC. Mm-hmm. So we drove through to Kwekwe, and I found 4 ministers waiting for me. They hadn't been sworn in yet, but July Moyo and a couple of other guys. And he was not there. He said he'd had to return to Harare, but they said he wants your ideas on what's wrong with the country and what needs to be done to put it right. Well, what do you do when you're asked to do that? Of course I said yes. So I sat down and wrote a 22-page document, which was handed in to the transition team the following Friday. He read it, and on Sunday I was told that it was going to be part of the 100-day program. And sure enough, after the cabinet was sworn in and sat for the first time on Tuesday, my paper was in the papers of all the ministers. And I then got called by a number of ministers to say, what do we do about this? How do we tackle this? You say this is the issue. And so I spent the next couple of months, in fact, frankly, helping the new government.
All right, so first of all, Eddie Cross was actually in the opposition party at that time. He was in the opposition party, so when MNANGAGWA, claimed victory in 2018, and now he's now approaching Eddie Cross. He's approaching Eddie Cross immediately after the victory. I said, "No, I need you to help me how I should move forward." We are going to be looking at MNANGAGWA today, whom Eddie Cross said is a crocodile, And I wanted you guys to see what are the characteristics of a crocodile. He's now approaching Eddie Cross from the opposition party, and he said, "Come over here, help us moving forward." On his own red flag, a red flag right there, red flag. But I wanted you to give you a bit of an intro of how did Eddie Cross came to write MNANGAGWA's memoir, because he actually did write for him. We're gonna look into those stories as we move along. Very interesting to actually know that. Interesting how the politics of Zimbabwe playing out. All right, so just a quick one, guys. I'm going to look at what are the characteristics of a crocodile, because you have heard people calling me some MNANGAGWA crocodile. And you've seen every time they're doing their, they were doing their rallies, you used to see people holding a fake crocodile. You've seen a lot of crocodiles, people stepping on them on social media. He calls himself a crocodile. What are the characteristics of a crocodile? So I went to Google and I wanted to check in, just do a bit of research. So crocodile signifies unflattering personality. Unflattering personality, so I bold. Traits such as an aggressive nature, short-temperedness, or even once a tendency to display insincerity and false emotions. False emotions by shedding crocodile tears. Characteristics of a crocodile. You have an unflattering personality traits. Aggressive attitude. Short-temperedness. Insincerity and false emotions by shedding crocodile tears. Now, here's the thing. We all know Mr. MNANGAGWA's personality, right? We are much aware. We know his personality. He doesn't laugh much. He does not laugh that much. And then they're talking about him that he's self-educated himself. I want you to take a listen to what Eddie Cruz went on to say, because it will help us when we go down here checking on how did he consolidate power. One of the things I want to tell you, and I've always been saying this, listen, I'm not a hater of education, but I really think that we need to have a different approach to our educational systems, because our people are so limited in thinking. Mr. MNANGAGWA self-educate himself. This is per Eddie Cruz submissions. Let me just tell you, I'm one of a person who self-educated herself too in many ways. So there are people that asked me sometime and saying, why is my English fluent? There are people asking me. By the way, when I went to school, primary and secondary school was definitely in Mashingo. At my school, we're not speaking English that much. So unfortunately, earlier on in my life, in my 20s, I was dumped in Johannesburg. So I'm stuck. I can't hear Zulu. I'm Shona. Remember, I speak Shona fluent. I can't hear Zulu, and I can't also speak any other language. But English, I know English from school. I did not like my English teacher because I didn't like my English teacher. It was too serious. I'm not a serious child. I mean, easygoing child. If we're easygoing, we're gonna have a party. But when you're not be too serious, I can't function. So that time, I had to self-educate myself. So my English was self-taught. So if at that, I know people that are very good at grammar. You may find out that I'm not good at that, but I can speak very fluent English. You know what I mean? So because I self-educate myself. So people who normally self-educate are very wise and smart. And I do well when I self-educate than when I'm being taught. I really like being taught, but I can spend time on my own, research, and get to understand how the world functions. That's who I am. And those people are always being considered the most smartest people. And if you want to check people that when you were at school, you know the ones that were very good at academia space. Most of the people that were good in academia, today when you look at them, some of them, they're not doing well in real life. Because the reality is, real life on its own, it requires a bit of a different approach when it comes to what you do at school. It's incredible. But if you're not smart enough, you can be incredible at school and still be a failure in real life. Because the approach is different. You know what I mean? It's different. So I get it when Eddie Cruz says Mr. MNANGAGWA self-educate himself. It makes a lot of sense now. Makes a lot of sense. It may be in the wrong way, but we can learn one or two things or in a positive way. But the most important part is, what are we going to learn from this situation? And how can we moving forward? Because at the end of it all, we need to come together and apply our minds. How can we move forward as a people? Take a listen to his further submissions, Eddie Cruz.
I'm never official.
Okay, so.
But I did his biography.
Okay, fantastic. But you spent a bit of time with him.
Yes.
Tell me something. What does he think of our currency and the currency problems?
Actually, he's not an economist.
Okay.
Okay. He's a clever man, but he's largely self-educated. You remember he joined the liberation struggle when he was 16, and he literally came out of the bush. And it was a Catholic priest who found this kid in prison, in Harare Central Prison, in D-class prison, 16 years of age or 18 years of age, with this very limited education. but he, clever man, clever boy. And for the next 10 years, he took him through O-levels, took him through university. He got a law degree in prison. So he's got a natural intelligence. He's no fool, right? He came out of prison, was then deported to Zambia, where he became a lawyer under Enoch Dumbuchena. Took him a couple of years to get his. The moment he did that, he left Zambia and went to Mozambique, where he joined the struggle. And from the moment he landed, Tongogara saw how this was a really sharp kid and made him head of their security. He was head of Arizona security right the way through to Lancaster House. And then after Lancaster House, he was appointed Minister of State Security. And, you know, when he was Minister of Finance, in fact, he did actually quite a good job. But he readily admits that he doesn't know anything about money and he doesn't know anything about economics. Okay, so he takes advice. One of my problems is that he takes advice from too many people. You know, I think he should listen to me. but that's another matter.
The question that...
Now, guys, are you surprised that he eventually put his son there? Does that surprise you? You heard what Eddie Cross said, that he literally, he doesn't know economics much. So ED is not good in economics. So he's been trusting a lot of people. Is it not the reason, one of the reasons why he actually hired his son? One day I went to another space, if I can remember, and the people were having an issue in terms of why apostles always choose like their child to take over the legacy. And I told them one thing. I said, because of trust. If that is not understood, you may end up thinking that, oh, the pastor is just he's enriching himself. It boils on to trust. So it's unfortunate that the way ZANU-PF takes Zimbabwe, they take it like their own personal legacy, and yet forgetting that there is a difference between a nation and your business. There's a difference. Your business, you can place your son if you want to. You can hire your daughter if you want to, because that's your personal thing. But you can't do it with the nation, because the nation, you are just being trusted temporarily to be in leadership. Unfortunately, ZANU-PF has taken Zimbabwe like their own business. And not only their business, their family legacy. I hope you understand that. I don't know what we did to them that makes them think they're the only people. But whether we like it or not, whether we assume or we don't, or whether we accept or we don't accept, as it stands, the reality is they've taken Zimbabwe as their own personal business. You can see through their actions. They have to place their only family members in every department. There is their family member. We also look at how you think that they've captured. You are looking at this as it captured. Guys, let me make this clear. It's a psychological problem that we have as Zimbabweans. Even those that are in the judiciary, those that are in the police, those that are in the army, are weak from a psychological point. And ZANU-PF have realized that we are weak. For that reason, they are capitalizing on our weakness. It's all psychological. They realize that, oh, these people are not wise. We're going to play them. And every time we think, oh, you're afraid. Well, we are afraid. We should never be afraid. We should just stand the same way they make a move. We make a move and say, this is not right. It's unacceptable. We do not want it. But if we keep quiet and we keep on talking, oh no, they've captured the state, oh, they've captured the police, they captured the army, they capture. It doesn't help. We need a solution moving forward. But how would we find a solution? We can only find a solution by taking full responsibility and counter their move through the words and saying, no, you don't do that here. You don't do that. You know what I'm saying? And then they'll start thinking, but if we just accept it, it will carry on like that. It will carry on like that. So for me, in a nutshell, what I'm telling you is, don't get surprised when they put their people. They do not trust any other person. So instead, they have to place their own children. They're the only people that they trust, because psychologically, they are looking at Zimbabwe as their own personal business. So to answer most of your people's questions.
Follows naturally from what you're saying is that one of my gripes with the business community is that we, apart from not putting our hand up, is over the decades we haven't done any work to engender trust with the government, so that when we actually speak about these issues, whether it's the currency, whether it's allocating spending, how to deal with parastatals or whatever, we're kind of looked at through this lens of an adversary as bad actors who just want to profiteer, at the expense of the country. So what work, if you were advising a gathering of business, of leaders, of business leaders who want to improve their standing with the government, so that when we present a paper on something, it's not viewed through this lens of greed or sabotage. It's viewed through the lens of, we actually want the economy to do better. We actually want things to work. And these are our ideas.
That's it. It doesn't have to be complicated. You want an economy to work, and these are the ideas. But unfortunately, because some of our people are not wise, they can easily be bought. There are those kind of people, if you go to a company, for example, you get employed. I've been in a corporate space, so I know exactly how people behave. They always want to play with the manager for favors. You don't do that. They want to be closer to the manager. It's very unprofessional, because they believe that if I'm closer to the manager, I'm going to get favors. What they don't realize, that you won't grow. You take years in the very same company, and it's still nothing to show, because you have no potential to be better. You're very limited in your thinking. And those that are wiser, they know that this is a professional space. I don't have to be his body. I don't have to be her body. I'm just going to do my job and I go home. If I'm tired of this, if I don't see that there's no growth, I can move. But if we are friends, I'm just stuck because we are friends. So most people in Zimbabwe have made one mistake. You have seen it through my celebrities, that our celebrity people think if I can be closer to the president's child, I'll get favors. You don't do that. No, when you want to stand for what's right, you struggle, because you can't speak truth to power. You are afraid. I don't like friends, especially when you are someone influential. I don't want to be your body. I want to rebuke you where you're wrong. I don't have to be closer to you. I don't need to, Then when I'm closer to you, I'm afraid to tell you when you're wrong, because I will tell you you're wrong. You know what I'm saying? So this is the problem in Zimbabwe. We have got this culture of, no, you need to know so and so to get this and that, and to get that and that. So now we are all fighting to know so and so, and we are not winning the battle. Instead of saying, no, let's just be independent people. I'm not saying I should not love you. I should love you. I should greet you. I should phone you. I can still get hold of you and ask for something. But I don't have to be a friend. But we created that system, and now it's burning us badly. Pastors can't speak truth to power, because you know why? I know that the president is closer to me. Right? We have people like Makantiwa. I said, may the soul of Mr. Guti rest in peace. But I feel like Guti owed me almost a lot by not speaking truth to power when he was very close to the president. I was expecting them to say, hey, Mr. President, the country is sinking. Not that we had to know. The country is sinking. Our actions are not aligning with the vision that you are saying you do have. We are saying we have got Vision 2030. What is it that you are doing today that makes us align into Vision 2030? Our actions do not align. We are still the same people. I'm a firm believer that the moment you say I've got a vision to go somewhere, your actions should also change. But having a vision and no willpower, it's simply a waste of time. If we truly want Zimbabwe to change, it can't change while we're still arresting our opponents, while we're still hating our own people, while we still, have all this polarization among us. We are going absolutely nowhere. It's like, make sure that you are taking a new jar and put old wine. Are you going to have new wine? Definitely not. Until our mentality are changed, it's a psychological problem that we created. As a matter of fact, maybe to take a generation for it to change. We're gonna struggle to really build genuine businesses, to really change from an inside out a point of view, because we are so messed up. We have a culture that is toxic, a culture that is so limited to success. I do not have to be a friend to succeed. I have to have the qualities of what you may want me to do in terms of service. Hire the right person who's good at doing the job, not because it's your friend. Today, as we speak, we heard that Mr. MNANGAGWA hired one of Rushwaya's guy. And I looked at him and I tweeted something. I was like, no, he's not even friendly at all. The face is like, it's oh my God, it's scary. And I'm like, this person is not supposed to be in the position. And bear in mind, I'm a firm believer that your face, if you're serving in the government space, must be inviting. Be an open person to constructive criticism, but don't be a person who's sending this scary, stature, scary personality, so people are afraid to talk to you. It doesn't work like that. You're a servant, and your face must be welcoming. But unfortunately, it's not what it is, because we failed ourselves by just failing to understand that we do not have to be friends to someone in order for us to succeed in life. No, we don't have to. You just have to have the passion, the purpose that you need to pursue. Whether it's closer to the president or not, you must be respected based on your service and based on your experience and your expertise, not because you're someone's friend. No, it doesn't work like that. But that's what we have created. That's why we are in this mess. And we wonder why things are not working. Until that is changed, we are going to keep on struggling. But here we are. How did Mr. MNANGAGWA consolidated power and outwitted the military with this controversial re-election achieved with the minimum contribution from the military? President MNANGAGWA has all but completed his power consolidation project, which began soon after the 2017 coup. I told you that people that are self-educated, if what Cross is saying is true, they're actually very wise. They may be wise from a devilish point of view, or they are wise from a different point of view. That's not a problem. That is not a problem. The bottom line is Mr. MNANGAGWA is self-educated himself. This is why he's downplaying a lot of people. Here we are, we keep on asking questions. We are an educated community. How many times you ask that question? Guys, we are an educated community. When I'm sitting here, I can tell you, and I've always been saying, if I would get an opportunity, if I would get an opportunity to sit down with the entire cabinet, sit down here, brothers and sisters, with all love, the military, police, I will come out of that place with a solution. I can bet you. I will come out of that place with a solution of that nation. I remember, and I always use this girl because I know she's a great example. Esther, when there was a problem in Sushan, and they wanted to kill the Jews. Like, we are face to face with the problem in the country today. They wanted to kill the Jews. What did she do? She knew she was not, this was a young girl who was raised by an uncle, and she was an orphan raised by an uncle. She didn't know nothing much about politics, but she was so wise enough, because she had the wisdom of God, to know how to move forward. She asked the people, let's fast and pray. Let's go and fast and pray. And people fasted and prayed. The third day she went in to the king. You're not getting into the king. If you didn't play your cards right, you were going to be killed. But she said, no, if I die, I die, but I'm getting in. She got into the, listen to the approach. The Bible says that when she got in, she knelt for the king from the door. Get this right. How many men are here and women that can understand the principle? Let me tell you, we are human beings before we get into the government. Don't forget, she had to respect the king from the door. And the king said, what do you want? Even after the half of my kingdom, I'll give it to you. Can I just get an opportunity to go up there? I bet you I'm going to come out with a solution. I'll come out with a solution. People are failing. It's not education that you need in Zimbabwe. You just need to be a people who are wise to understand the season we are in and how to approach the regime that we are dealing with. People keep on talking and talking and talking and talking. But no. Talking is not enough. We need to come up with a solution that works for every Zimbabwean. But now we are looking at how did he consolidate the power, outwitted the military. The military that you knew was this strong military that we need. Every time you say this, all the military is coming after you. You say this, be careful, the military is going to come after you. The question that we need to ask is, where is the military? Cheers. Where is the military? Where is the military? We're going to go through how did Mr. MNANGAGWA consolidated power. So in 2017, the coup was engineered by his deputy, Constantino Chiwenga. Mr. Chiwenga engineered the coup. Then the command of Zimbabwe Defense Force, who wanted MNANGAGWA to serve only one term, with him taking over in 2023. So that was the arrangement, according to the TheNewsHawks article, that Mr. MNANGAGWA was going to serve first term, and then the second term, which was supposed to be this 2023, effective the time that we finish the elections. Mr. Chiwenga was supposed to be the president of the country. He's the vice president, right? As per the article. Following up the coup, Chiwenga was in charge of the levers of power, dictating cabinet and ZANU-PF appointments in the process. A deadly struggle for the control of ZANU-PF and government ensued, but MNANGAGWA emerged victorious after the brutal political battle characterized by plotting in an internal strife, purges, poisoning, and grenade attack amid dead bodies. It was certainly not an easy road to victory, but as shown in the timeline below, the incremental gains scored by MNANGAGWA decimated Chiwenga and his military camp over the years, leaving the crocodile family in charge. Below, find a timeline to how MNANGAGWA brought Chiwenga to his knees. The crocodile, and I gave you the characteristics of a crocodile, right? The characteristics of a crocodile and how he operates, and the self-educated crocodile, and how he found himself in power, and how he's controlling all institutions. And I've said to you, people that self-educated are even more smarter than the people that educated, that are actually follow the curriculum of the school education. Because the school education is limited to the thinking of certain individuals. But when you now think beyond that, you become smarter than the ordinary person. So on the 6th of November 2017, President Robert Mugabe dismissed his deputy EMERSON MNANGAGWA from government. He was fired, the letter that circulated, and then he flew into South Africa. So ZANU-PF expelled MNANGAGWA from the party and goes into self-imposed exile in South Africa. He was in South Africa. I guess this is why it's very close to what's his name? You have been asking questions why the president of South Africa, Ramaphosa, he was in exile in South Africa, and they're very close to Ramaphosa. That's why it's harder for Ramaphosa to speak ill of so many things that happens in ZANU-PF. He find it harder to do so. On the 13th of November 2017, Zimbabwe Defense Forces Commander Constantino Chiwenga issues a handwriting statement saying ZANU-PF has been infiltrated by people seeking to reverse the gains of the liberation struggle. He calls for a drastic, immediate action. Drama after drama. It is pertinent to restate that the Zimbabwe Defense Forces remain the major stakeholder in respect to the gains of the liberation struggle. When these are threatened, we are obliged to take corrective measures, Chiwenga says. That's what he says. There was a problem. We've been infiltrated. Now we need to take some measures. Deception. Betrayal. So President Mugabe and Chiwenga have a meeting in the presence of South African envoys at the State House. They're a meeting. And thousands of people marched on Harare streets demanding that Mugabe relinquish power. This process were organized by the military behind the scenes. Mugabe hangs on stubbornly despite pressure. So the military now organized us to get into the streets. At that time, there was no, fire in... And then the ZANU-PF Central Committee holds a meeting in Harare. The party resolves to remove party president Mugabe as well as reinstate MNANGAGWA, who was elected as an interim party president. The Central Committee gives Mugabe until midday, 27th of November 2017, to resign as president of Zimbabwe. Then that's when the G40 and all the drama of Jiwawu, savior were expelled from ZANU-PF. A lot of drama happened. They fast forward, and 2017 we had elections, which again disputed elections, but then Mr. MNANGAGWA found himself being the president of Zimbabwe. If you know, you know. As with allegations by Jonathan Moyo, Priscilla Chigumba, and some of the and Malava were given houses in Borodale so that they could rig elections on behalf of Mr. MNANGAGWA. These are allegations from Mr. Jonathan Moyo. Then 2019, here we go again. A lot of drama going down in in ZANU-PF. And then in 2019, Mnangagwa post Chiwenga's key military backers outside the country. Sanyate's appointed Zimbabwe's ambassador to Tanzania. Can you see where this is going? So the army, that strong army that were backing up Mr. Chiwenga, now they're out of the country. All of them are being given posts. So there was, one Sanyatwe is now appointed as ambassador of Tanzania, and Nyikayaramba is posted to Maputo, Mozambique, while Shedongo is sent to China. Can you see that? Can you see how the crocodile operates? And can you see self-educated people operate? Very calculative, very calculative. Very calculative, because they use their brain, they apply their brain. While you're busy, English, you know what I'm saying? And they're busy calculating the move. And you saw what happened the 23rd. I'm getting there. This past election, I have never seen such mercy, but I'm getting there. All I'm looking at how Mr. MNANGAGWA consolidated power. Very wise enough knew that the army is so strong. So if I displace the army, they may not turn against me. So the Constitution of Zimbabwe, amended number 2, gave Mr. MNANGAGWA new powers to extend the terms of judges who reach retirement age and appoint senior judges without subjecting them to public interviews. And that's when we end up having a brother, what is the name? The brother, Mr. Malava, came back because now his term was extended because of now they changed the constitution. Let me drink water. And I've always been saying, as much as people would want me to believe that ZANU-PF are bad people, but I actually think our people are even more stupid than actually the people that you claim they're capturing us. And I'm sorry to say this because I have the power to say no to certain things. So if I'm dealing with their gangster in the space here, they come in, they say to me, listen, you've got 2 options to make. Either you're going to join our gang or we are going to eliminate you. They'll give me an ultimatum. I'm definitely going to say, okay, eliminate me then. Because being in the gang space, I'm not leaving. Because you know why? I've given up my powers of living the life which I deserve or the life which I know I desire just to fulfill someone else's mission. So us as a Zimbabwean people, we are failing one thing. ZANU-PF's goal and their cabal, the bodies, is to keep themselves in power. Right? So now, for that reason, if we are wise enough, we'll say, but I can't contribute towards you fulfilling your purpose. I've got children here that needs to fulfill purpose too. I have sons and daughters. My kids need to fulfill purpose. So if I now support you to fulfill your purpose, what am I going to do now with my kids who's supposed to do theirs? But because we are not wise enough, because we look for instant gratification, we have built this culture of dependency syndrome. We are struggling to say, no, I can't do it. Sorry, I can't help. Because I know that the moment I say, sorry, I can't help, then I'm going to free a lot of people. We could have freedom today in Zimbabwe. Let me tell you, I've been asking, where is the army now? That we are where we are. Where is the army? Where is the police? What are they saying? So there are people that would want to see, I'm going to drop this article for you. You will see it. I'm going to drop it for you. Okay. So don't worry. I'm going to drop it for you. Relax in the description box. I'm going to do that. Unfortunately, I could have done that before so you guys could be watching while we move along. I'm sorry about that. But in future, I'm going to do that because I'm going to run another one of how Chiwenga became widowed. I'm going to run that one. We need to understand where this country is going. Now, we're now having Mr. Malava back into the space. Crucial also, the act scrapped a running mate clause which MNANGAGWA was feared would leave him vulnerable to an empowered vice president. It was known as the Chiwenga's clause in the corridors of power. Removing the running mate clause allowed MNANGAGWA to have a pliant deputy serving at his pleasure while giving him greater control over the cabinet, the prosecutor general, and the public protector. But guys, the last time I checked the judiciary, like the justice, if I'm not mistaken, the chief justice have got more powers than the president. Am I right? Please correct me if I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know how Zimbabwe functions, but that's my understanding. So ZANU-PF holds the provincial elections, which again showed that the party was divided. Mnangagwa, however, used his muscle to reverse the results in provinces like Manicaland, where his backers had lost. Sorry, excuse me there. And then ZANU-PF holds Central Committee elections ahead of Congress. The elections show that Mnangagwa is now on the ascendancy. That was 2022. Mr. Mnangagwa brings Chiwenga to his knees, literally, metaphorically, at the crucial ZANU-PF Congress, which confirmed the president was now fully in charge. Now, I think the other thing is, when Mr. Chiwenga came in, immediately there was a wife drama. She was sick and a lot happened in between. I can only imagine you are in this space of leadership and your wife is sick. There's family affairs, family drama. Of course, that alone can take over your mental health, that you can't really think right, because you know what family life does, right? That's why I always say, if a man fails in family life, please don't trust them with the leadership, because they're going to mess up. If a man cannot, and when I say fail, I'm not talking about, please, there are people who may have divorced, whatever, you are incredible. I'm talking about a man who may be in a marriage that is distorted, that is messed up. That person, when they get into leadership, not that they are bad, but the family life is always going to be a challenge. It keeps on pulling them back, and then it's harder for them to think, to plan, to organize. Is harder. So that's why your family life is very important. It must always be intact. So now we can see on the picture, Mr. Chiwenga has all these challenges in his family life. It's a lot of drama after drama, court cases, Mary's sick, and a lot is happening. People are fighting him left, right, and center. They want Mary to be out of the country. There's battles left. And bear in mind, Mr. Mnangagwa's family is 150% intact. Cheers. I wish we were all learning something here. His family is fine. You saw it when they were giving the party here. Daughter-in-laws in their regalias, they were all looking their majesty. And the sons are all having positions. They're all chinning up, they're suiting, and they're all classy there with them. Italian suits there and there, and they're in the space. And, and everything's flourishing. Mr. Crocodile and the self-educated man, and everything is working. He's there and it's his birthday. People are celebrating. You saw it. Family intact. Mnangagwa was elected president unopposed, showing he had outwitted Chiwenga's military faction after a brutal political battle following the 2017 coup characterized by plotting, internal strife, purges, poisoning, and all drama. Now, 23 August 2023, Mnangagwa sidelines the army in the pre-election and election period as he unshackles himself from their influence. Do you remember what Ibo Madaza said? That he actually, allegedly, he sent people to speak to Chamisa that we can actually postpone elections, and then I'll give you power after 2 years. This was Ibo Mandas. You know what happened about 2 weeks ago, and he submitted that one in conversation with Trevor. I'm going to drop all those links there in the description box so you guys can also consult for reference. And then, at that time, Chamisa, according to them, he refused. And then, because what he knew was that the army was so much against him. You also heard that the army literally voted for the opposition, which means the army was really against Mr. Mnangagwa, as per the allegations. Now, while in the previous elections, including during the Mugabe era, the army played a critical role in ensuring a ZANU-PF victory through heritage, Mnangagwa deploys the CIO Run Forever associates Zimbabwe first to ensure he wins the election. So we had the CIO the first. You saw those. By the way, if that was a CIO, and I don't know how the CIO operates really, if the CIO, surely they are the most respected people in our country, as per my understanding, but my tables, my cases, all over the place. That was the worst strategy ever. You know, with all due respect, the worst strategy ever. So You saw them, the FAS. Then FAS, which was led by Deputy CIO Director General Walter Tafumane, he was the one that was controlling FAS, established a presence in every ward ahead of the elections, collecting vital voter information and intimidating voters, especially in the rural areas. FAS also played a critical role during the voter registration you saw it, inspection and voting day, helping MNANGAGWA and ZANU-PF to controversial victory. MNANGAGWA ensured the army was confined to the barracks and even shut the Cleveland shooting range in Harare ahead of the elections. MNANGAGWA ensured the army was confined to the barracks and even shut the Cleveland shooting range in Harare ahead of the elections. 27th of August 2023, after elections, Electoral Commission Chairperson Priscilla Chigumba declares MNANGAGWA the winner of Zimbabwe's presidential elections with 52.6% of the vote, while the main challenger, Nelson Chamisa, please. The win enabled MNANGAGWA finally shake off the army. It shook off the army. The military's influence in the elections was minimal. Cheers. The crocodile. The self-educated man. And the 4th September 2023, MNANGAGWA was sworn in as the president despite a cloud of illegitimacy after controversial elections, which the Southern African Development SADC and Election Observer Mission said violated the Zimbabwean Constitution, Electoral Act, and the SADC principles and guidelines governing democratic elections. The AU also slammed the polls. 3 heads of state attended MNANGAGWA's inauguration, but by being sworn in, he had achieved his number one goal, retaining power by hook or by crook, without help from the military. But this is what I'm going to say to Zimbabwe. Number one that you must remember is all the drama that's going down right now are simply a farce. What you're seeing right now with ZANU-PF, it's not the first time. ZANU-PF is not the first people to do this in life, in history. So many generations we had people who behaved exactly what you're seeing going down in Zimbabwe there. But there was always going to be a way out. And many generations, you call them dictators, but for me, I call them evil people who thought they were in control, but they were not. God has always had his own way to change the situation. But unfortunately, if you spend too much time in a toxic environment, you are suffering what they call, I'm looking for a word. It's more psychological. Therapists and psychologists can actually tell you what word to use. You struggle to walk out of the situation because you fear. And it's shown in the way that we behave. Today in 2023 in Zimbabwe as we speak, you can see how we behave. So if a person is in an abusive marriage, for example, I use marriage because marriage is very common, and most of people really had experiences. I've met a lot of people that I met in counseling who came from very brutal circumstances, and you would hear them telling you how they grew up or what happens in their father's house, whatever the case may be. But you find out that women most of the time struggle to walk away, even men too. If you get abused for too long, it's harder to walk away because there's a fear of the unknown. So what is killing Zimbabweans today is the fear of the unknown. You find that they are very educated people, actually people of influence, who have the nerve to actually blame Nelson Chamisa because of the challenges we have in the country. They're supposed to be looking at the regime, but no, they can't look at the regime. They're blaming the victim, actually, that the victim is a problem. You know why? It shows that's what depression and that's what psychological trauma does. Is you have been suffering for too long in a very toxic environment, that instead of you blaming the person that keeps you at ransom, you're rather blaming someone that you says, why are they not taking me out of the situation? Instead of blaming that person that is keeping you at ransom, you're blaming the person that is outside there that you says, why are they not taking me out of the situation? So you are in a marriage where you can walk away yourself. You must walk out of the situation, but you can blame some people out there. No, they're supposed to take me out. No, you can walk out of the situation, but you are, if I leave this man or if I leave this woman, what if I don't get someone? What if, no, there's no what if. The fact that you are in a situation that is uncomfortable, you do not have to question whether where you're going is going to work or not. That's not the issue. The issue is where you are is not comfortable. Walk out of where you are. Zimbabweans, we know across the board, where we are right now, ZANU-PF is toxic, is evil. We can't stand the pain. But we're afraid. We rather say, oh, what if Chamisa can be like ZANU-PF? No, forget about Chamisa. Walk out of the situation. It's called faith of understanding of what you deserve and who you are and who you know you should be. What happens tomorrow is not your problem. Deal with where you are right now. Are you comfortable with the situation? No. Why can't you walk out? Why can't you walk out? The police, the army, the soldier, everybody, including those in ZANU-PF, why aren't we walk out? The fear of the unknown. We're thinking, oh no, it won't work, it will work. The fear of the unknown. The army, the soldier, our police, because you're the army or CIO, you are our brothers, right? You understand better. You have the power, you're the one that will take the ammunition. If we stand up and say no, and you also know that you are burning where you are. I had judges could not afford to buy a house. Remember the time of Kasukwire when they said the judge could not afford to buy a house, but the judge had to be given a house prior to the judgment, allegedly. Remember, I'm not the one who said it, allegedly. Jackie said it. Jackie Sunday, who was the spokesperson for Kasukwire, said that the judge was given a house prior to giving a judgment. They could not afford. So we have judges who can afford. We have CIOs who can afford. We have policemen who can afford. We have the army who can afford. Civilians, all of us who can afford. The question we need to ask each other is, why can't we take a step, bold step, to move forward and walk out of the situation that we know we don't deserve? The fear of the unknown. It's all psychological. It's all boils down to the mind. It boils down to the mind. You heard how Mr. Muchamba spoke when he was at in Johannesburg post-election, pre-elections. You remember he said, if you want, you must go in and fight. The way that we fought. But we lost a lot of relatives during the time of the war. We had our families, we went and fight, but they seemed like they're the only people who went to fight in the struggle. But many people went and fought. Every Zimbabwean fought for their freedom. But there are only few people who claim to be the only people who fought in the liberation struggle. But it's not correct. You know why? It's a psychological problem. It boils down to the mind. When you see your brothers who stand up and go and beat another person, it's a mind problem. They can say, no, you don't use me. Why can you use your children? Again, boils down to the mind. Until we have worked out of this fear, until our minds are renewed, we may keep on suffering under the hands of our oppressors. The same way our people were renewed, and I respect what the father submitted, that we need to talk, have a conversation. But unfortunately, the people that seems to be having conversation, they're not wise. They keep on blaming the victim. Nelson Chamisa, I'm covering that story in the next live. I'm going to cover that story of the father who was blaming Nelson Chamisa, blaming the wrong person again. Nelson Chamisa seems to be the president of Zimbabwe. A victim has to be blamed all the time. Why can't we face our oppressors and say, we cannot take this anymore as time? That's the only way that we can walk out of the situation. Guys, drop your location, please. I want to send you a shout out. I'll send you some love. How Mr. MNANGAGWA Consolidated Power was did away with the military and worked with the CIO. He created his own people, and here he is. But the truth is, they are hanging on a thread because the ground is shaking, y'all. I was shocked when they went to that was the United Nations, where he was talking about election, that they were free and fair. And we all know that SADC, everyone in Zimbabwe, all of us, we saw what happened on the day of elections. We all know that the election was a sham, but they keep on lying to themselves that the elections were actually a free, fair, credible. It's sad to watch, but you know what? That's what happens when you don't play your cards right. That's what happens when you think you're smart, not realizing that no, you're not. You are sinking. They've dug a hole, but trust me, the hole is getting deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. This is why I keep on saying, now we need men and women of wisdom to pull all Zimbabweans out of this trench. Because not only are we talking about the people that are oppressed, even the oppressors too, they are also shackled. They don't know how to come out of the mess. All of us, we need to be freed as a Zimbabwean across the board. We need our freedom. I love to use the Bible because I remember this king, when the king requested that there was a written on the wall, and they said, call Joseph from the prison, and he interpreted the dream. The king said, okay, let your God be worshipped. All of us, we are free. So the issue of the truth of the matter is that Zimbabweans, all of us, ZANU-PF, Triple C, we are all shackled today. I do not care how much money is in your bank account. Yo, there's nothing shackling like as a man walk out in a place and everybody walks away. Nothing that can take away the man's ego. Like failure for people to recognize his importance. Nothing. If there's any man out there can actually testify today and say, nothing that can bruise a man's ego than getting into a house where he knows that he needs to be respected and everyone treats him like nothing. That's exactly what's going down in Zimbabwe right now. Notwithstanding what title you carry, as long as people are not recognizing you, nothing that can strap a human being's dignity than that. Which means Triple C, ZANU-PF, all of us, we are shackled and we need to free ourselves. But how are we going to do? There's a way out. Men and women of wisdom will pull us out of this mess soon. I was listening to a space where someone spoke and said there's going to be a solution soon. And I also heard it from different people. There's going to be a solution in Zimbabwe soon. That's going to free all of us. ZANU-PF, Triple C, then we can do away with polarization and hatred, which is unnecessary. Because as long as we are sitting with all this political mantra, we keep on championing hatred, which is unnecessary. We deserve to live in a country of peace, of love, of humility, of care, of support, and a country of prosperity. But we can't do it when there's hatred. I love you all, guys. Good afternoon to everybody. If you're just joining us, unfortunately, you came on right at the end of this show, and I'm coming back. I've got 2 shows that are coming on before 8 o'clock. So, guys, I'm here and to dine with you. When I ran away, how did Mr. Chiwenga lose the grip of the powers in terms of the military? And also, we're going to look at what Father submitted today in terms of Nelson Chamisa and ED. They must have a meeting so that we can resolve our issues, which I don't think that's wiser. Every Zimbabwean needs to be part of the meeting. It's a family affair. It's a Zimbabwean affair. There's not 2 people who can represent anything. Zimbabweans need to have a meeting across the spectrum. We all need to come up with a solution to fix the country that is in a mess. It is not a political issue. It's definitely for us to come and say it is enough. We need to come up with a Zimbabwe that functions for all. Guys, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon, and I'll see you in the next live because I'm coming back again soon. So stick around as we're moving to our next topic. I love you guys. I'm going to drink some water, have something to eat, and I'll be back. I love you so much. May God bless you, and may God bless Zimbabwe. See you later. Don't forget that I'm going to drop these articles and also some references for you guys to see how Mr. MNANGAGWA was able to consolidate power to that. I love you all, and God bless you.